All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a whole bunch of stuff to do today. I highly anticipate the rest of the relievers to be the 11th round pickups, to be honest. They're probably going to start the 11th round, and then we will be moving into the hitters right after that. Because, again, the AI is just bum-rushing the pitchers at this point. So, 11th round, the Jelly Jazz will be picking up Diana Hayes, another relief pitcher. Not too bad. Also plays a little bit of the infield and outfield positions as well. Not bad, actually, at all at this point, but the control's a bit low. So this will be the Jolly Jazz's third relief pitcher, a left-handed relief pitcher here in the 201st spot. The nimble ninja will be picking up Robert Ashburn. Very, very nice. All right, so Dishnet's character finally gets drafted here in the 11th round. Would it be possible to have a trade deadline about halfway through the season? No, we don't do trades after opening day. I haven't wanted to do any kind of mixing of the teams because by the time that we're actually like at that kind of a stage, I don't really want to mix up a whole bunch of teams, and there's a whole bunch of additional stuff that happens because of that. So I'm really not assuming to include a trading option past opening day. Teams should be set for the season. They play the season out, and then at the end of the regular season into the off season, maybe we'll look at changes or something like that. That's what we're going to be doing, a whole bunch of voting and community stuff, related stuff, to be able to figure out what we do each off season, how much the community wants to change stuff, if they want to add stuff or completely reset stuff. That's all up to the community at a later date. All right, but anywho, Robert Ashburn goes to the Nimble Ninjas for their last relief pitcher, I believe. All right, the Courageous Captains are also missing their third relief pitcher, so they'll probably also pick one up here, and it will be Ramona Bennett, another ground ball, high control, high movement relief pitcher at this point. Also can play a little bit of left field if they want her to, but she is probably going to be slotted into the bullpen as a right-handed throwing reliever. The Gnarly Goats already have their third relief pitcher, so they should be going for a hitter here. And they do! They will go for Donuts! Congratulations to Doug, getting drafted by the Gnarly Goats here in the 11th round. The very good shortstop, third base, second base, first base, defending infielder. Pretty decent hitting contact ability right about here. Pretty good steal for the Goats. I don't even know if the Goats had a shortstop already projected. They had Dante Robinson, so we'll see if, we'll see what they decide to do. Dante was projected to either do center field or shortstop for them, so we'll see what happens. With Donuts being added, that gives them a really good option to put, to actually keep Dante Robinson up in center field, so we'll see if that retains for the regular season. Alrighty, the Dominating Ducks are up next, and they are still missing their third relief pitcher. And it will be Rico of Venezuela, also known as Inflation. This guy has the best movement out of all of the relief pitchers, I believe. Extreme ground ball, submariner from the right side of the mound is going to be able to bring the ball in only about 86 to 88, but the good sinker movement combination is going to put a lot of balls on the ground. The Astounding Armadillos already have their third relief pitcher. They are lacking... No, they've got their shortstop already too. Okay. Who do they have is a good question now. But either way, the Armadillos already have center field, already have shortstop, so their pick will be Ray Tran. Okay. That's probably an imbalance pick right about there. We'll have to see what comes about because of that. Interesting. Ray Tran goes to the Astounding Armadillos, a ground ball sidearm pitcher. Not too bad. This might be our first team that has to give up this player in the balancing phase. So we'll see what happens there, because pretty sure that's a relief pitcher. It's supposed to go to somebody else. So we'll see about that. That's the kind of stuff that I have to watch out for. So the Witty Whistlers up next. They do need a relief pitcher, and they will pick Ollie Bubbles. Perfect. He was probably the best relief pitcher left on the board to get at this point. The fastball sinker combination, good velocity, decent movement and control, and some above average stuff. Not too bad here for the Witty Whistlers, picking up Peanut Butter. I'm surprised he'll be able to whistle with peanut butter in his mouth, but okay, sure. The Pleasant Pioneers will be picking up with their 11th round pick. They also need a relief pitcher, and they'll be picking up Humberto Anders, a generic player who throws 90 to 92 miles an hour, has a pretty good fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup combination. Can also play a little bit of first and catcher, but he is a left-handed throwing relief pitcher. Not a bad pickup here for the Pleasant Pioneers. Probably, again, one of the last good relief pitchers left on the market. The Kind Koalas already have their third reliever, so we'll see if they also go with the imbalance pick here with a relief pitcher. The Kind Cacti, or the Kind Koalas, will pick up George Coleman, so they do as well. So the run on relief pitchers continues. Now, he can play other positions, which is actually a little bit interesting. I wonder if they'll slot him out of the bullpen and put him back into the lineups. I don't think they're a team that has... I mean, they got Ernie Steele they could throw someplace if they wanted to. They could make a move taking somebody out of the bullpen, but I think George Coleman probably is going to be another imbalance trade at this point here in the 11th round, as the Kind Koalas don't really need... I mean, they could use a better center fielder. Tsunami's not the best in center. Richard Blast is a good shortstop, though, so they might be trading for a center fielder with this pickup right about here. But we'll see what happens. The Clobbering Cacti are up next. They already have three relievers as well, and they'll pick up username unavailable, a second base prospect at this point. Good hitting, contact ability, avoid Ks, very high on that list. The sacrifice button, bunting for a hit, pretty good as well. This second base prospect joins the Clobbering Cacti. W, as he is referred to as, joins the Cacti in the 11th round. The Rebellious Reapers are up next with their three relief pitchers already selected, and they will be picking up Jody Palmer, another imbalance pick. All right, there's going to be a lot of imbalance trading, unfortunately, here in the 11th and probably into the 12th round, so we'll see how that goes. Although Jody can play a little bit of the outfield, but again, I don't really know if that's what you want her to be doing at this point. She's not too bad, but when the relievers are already as limited as they are, it's going to be very difficult to be able to say that Jody Palmer has anything but a bullpen role in her near future at this point. So the Rebellious Reapers pick up their fourth relief pitcher. Let's see if the Squirrels do the same thing, and they will. It'll be Judy Abunza, who gets selected by the Super Squirrels here. Another person who's kind of a mixture of two different types of players. Little bit of hitting, some good speed, a little bit of defense. But again, probably going to be an imbalance trade option for the Squirrels to be able to acquire somebody else to fill a need. And we'll see what happens with that down the road. The Angry Admirals do, in fact, need a third relief pitcher. They will pick up Jorge Garcia with their 11th round pickup. We'll see if that also holds true for the Angry Admirals here in the 11th round. Jorge, not exactly the worst relief pitcher on the list. I think we still have some other people who are considerably, or at least considered worse than Jorge, but probably a very, very high pick here for Jorge Garcia. Usually not selected this high in most drafts. The Adorable Apollos are left with no pitchers officially left on the board, so that was the last relief pitcher available, guys. So we'll see what the trade options are as teams have to balance out over the course of the regular or the rest of the preseason here. So it's all batters from here on out. So starting us off, the Adorable Apollos. They'll be selecting Nan Porter, a catching prospect who also plays decent outfield ability. 71 on the catcher ability, not much on the hitter profile, so I'm surprised they take her so early when there's better options. But the switch hitting catcher goes to the Adorable Apollos here in the 11th round. The Knockout Kings will be selecting Akil Badu, a center field, a corner outfield prospect. Decent gap power, home run power, and eye discipline here for the Knockout Kings. Some decent speed as well to boot. And I don't remember if the Knockout Kings already had center field covered. They have Mick to be able to play a corner outfield position, so they do actually like this pickup here. I think the Nick Castellanos at first base is not going to hold true. He's probably going to slot into right field by the time all is said and done. So that actually does help their outfield a little bit, giving them potentially a center fielder who will at least play the position respectfully. we're going to be seeing a lot of respectfully statements, unfortunately, guys, as teams start to pick up people who may or may not be the best at that position, but that's what they're going to be getting. The Graceful Giants are up next, and they'll be picking up Adolis Garcia, another corner outfield / center field option. Another other pro players gone at this point. A very good home run hitting center field / corner outfielder. Goes in the 11th round to the Graceful Giants. The Crazy Cluckers are up next. They already have their shortstop and center fielder, but we'll see if they draft that still. They'll be picking up Nico Horner, a second base prospect. Very good contact profile hitter at this point. Can play second, third, short, and a little bit of center field at this point. So we'll see how that goes for the Crazy Cluckers and whether or not that is something that they make good usage of with their lineups. The Nice Nobles are up next, and with their selection in need of a third baseman and a center fielder, I'm going to assume center field's probably what they should be drafting right here. I would assume Ralphie Beans, Best Dinosaur, probably on the list. Pretty much a couple different people on this list would be an interesting option for them. And they'll be picking up a second baseman, Jack Candlestick. Plays second, a little bit of third, so maybe they want him to play third at this point. I don't remember who the Nobles have at second at this point either, unfortunately. But the Contact Avoid K's player, drafted in the 11th round at this point. Interesting. Good speed, good Avoid K and contact, so a decent hitter, but the Nobles definitely needing to get somebody who can actually play center field. They have Frank for a shortstop, so that's good, but that center field position's looking mighty empty right about now. I hope they'll be able to pick somebody up to fill that position. All right, the Frogs are up next, and with their selection needing a shortstop, they'll be picking up Lawrence Davis. All right, one of our better defending catchers finally goes off the board in the 11th round here. Crash, as he is known, as he will have one of the best catching abilities at this point. 89 overall catcher with the 96 ability, 58 arm, and a decent contact home run power profile for a batter. Not too bad at all. Not bad at all here for the Friendly Frogs. I think that'll get a lot of people happy with that selection at this point, and that'll bring us down to the Curious Coyotes. Another team that's actually got supposedly 2 center fielders already in their organization. I highly doubt that. They've got Mayhew. Actually, no, he's a center field. Never mind. They have Mayhew, and they've said that Benson is going to be an outfielder. I don't know if he'll stick in center. Right now, they've got him slotted to play left, so we'll see what they draft. They do have a catcher, so if they draft a catcher, that'd be a spare one at this point. But I don't know if we're going to have an abundance of catchers. We really only have about 3 that are really good, and then a couple that are in the 70s, couple in the 60s, and then we get down into the down into the 34 range. So we'll see what the Curious Coyotes will select here at the end of the 11th round, and with it, they'll be picking up Barry Dogberry, a second base prospect. You could probably also slot in at third if they wanted him to, if they needed that position filled. Good gap power, eye discipline, a little bit of base running ability to back it up as well. Good enough avoid Ks to be able to do a decent job at the plate. This switch hitting second baseman goes to the Curious Coyotes here at the end of the 11th round. Congratulations. The Coyotes will also pick in the 12th round here. They get the first overall selection, and with it, they'll be picking up Chris Jardine. Finally, the catching prospect that everyone was waiting for gets drafted. Joining Dogberry on the Curious Coyotes, this catching prospect is one of the best in the catcher ability ratings, has a little bit more hitting to go along with that catcher ability, so we'll see how the Curious Coyotes play their entire offense at this point. Because I guess Maya Woodruff, I guess you probably go play Maya over at third base and you let Chris Jardine go catch. That's going to be interesting. And then Ming Quan can probably go play center, or probably go play, right field maybe? I actually kind of like this team now. They're starting to get some pretty good options here. You know, if you put this correctly, Jardine goes to catcher. You still have Mel over at first. You put Quan. I don't like that at point. I don't like that right there. I'd put Dogberry. Oh, no, sorry, right. Dogberry could play, I mean, he's not really a shortstop. I would hope that you'd get a different shortstop down the road. But, you know, Quan could play shortstop, maybe. You stick Dogberry back over to second. I think that's still pretty good. Woodruff can probably play third just fine. 52 is a bit low, but, I mean, I wouldn't put Dogberry at shortstop. I'd probably put Quan over in right field, in all honesty, unless you get another outfielder. But Curious Coyotes, actually, with that move, do actually put themselves in a decent position to be able to make some moves and make some decisions. This is also the team, by the way, that has Luan Louie. So we'll see if they actually want to keep Louie in the bullpen or not. They could trade one of their last picks for a different relief pitcher and then throw Louie into center field. So we'll see what the Curious Coyotes decide to do as we move forward. Unfortunately, the submissions are closed for Season 1. We will be opening them back up once Season 1 completes at the end of the regular season and playoffs. So unfortunately, we are past the time period for accepting submissions at this point. My apologies about that. All right. With the second pick here in the 12th round, the Friendly Frogs will be selecting Vincent Trudell. This was actually the very first submission that happened for Season 1. The very good bunting contact hitter with a little bit of gap power, very good eye discipline, and avoid Ks. Going to be going to the Friendly Frogs, probably going to be playing second or first. I don't imagine they'll try to force him to play third. Not a bad pickup here for the Frogs, though. Oh, you're just making a joke. Okay, good. I'll say, if you're really here saying, hey, can I submit a player? Where have you been for the past, for the past, 2 weeks at this point? Oh, good grief. All right. It's the Nobles time, guys. Let's see if they can make up for their last pickup, which was a little bit of a interesting pickup. They do not have a catcher or a center fielder. So the Nice Nobles definitely could be using to pick up that one of the last two extremely good defending catchers, or they could go down a little bit and do something like a baseball on balls. I wouldn't mind that. Let's see what they can do with this pick right here. They also could go out and grab Ralphie Beans, the best dinosaur, for center field, but the AI is going to be, probably a stinker, and they're probably going to pick a second baseman at this point. So let's see. The Nice Nobles, with their 12th selection, will pick up Ali Boudreau. A second base prospect, very good gap power, contact hitter, eye discipline, avoid Ks, decent enough speed. Might be an imbalanced pick here at this point. We'll see what they decide to do. But, oops. Ali Boudreau goes to the Nice Nobles here in the 12th round. We will see how that fares with all the teams as they start to play out at this point. Yeah, there are a lot of second basemen, unfortunately. There are quite a lot of middle infielders that got submitted. And we'll have to see how that fares. Some of them play other positions. There are quite a few people who could probably play third base, second base, shortstop. There's only a couple of shortstops left in the league, though, in all honesty. So we'll see how it balances out by the end. Oops, he's getting traded. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The Crazy Cluckers are up next, and with their 12th round selection, they'll be picking up Bryce Utley, also known as the Man. A good corner outfielder here for the Crazy Cluckers. Very good contact, avoid K, gap power ability, decent enough speed to be able to run the bases. Should be an interesting pickup here for the Crazy Cluckers. The Man, switch hitting. Corner outfielder goes to the Cluckers here in the 12th round. The Graceful Giants are up next, and with their 12th round pickup, they'll be picking up Pseudonym. The corner outfielder, maybe you throw him in center field. Speed Demon will be joining the Graceful Giants. The decent contact, avoid Ks, not too bad. We'll see where they want to play him on the outfield grass, if they actually want him to play him in center field, or if they will be trying to throw him over to a different corner. Only time will tell when we get to the balancing section. And Pseudonym will be joining the Graceful Giants. The Knockout Kings are next, and their 12th round selection will be the Best Dinosaur. One of the best outfield defensive players finally goes off the board. The left-handed hitting, left-handed throwing outfielder lands on the Knockout Kings. The batting profile leaves a little bit to be desired, but that defense is going to make him an excellent candidate for a Gold Glove by the end of the season if the likes of a Pete Wheeler doesn't take it first. Good solid pickup there for the Knockout Kings in the 12th round. The Apollos are up next. And with their 12th round selection, the Apollos will be picking Cheese the man. A infield prospect with very good home run power at this point. The Apollos pick up this switch-hitting, right-handed throwing infielder with that 75 power. I'm surprised we still had 75 power left on the board at this point. That seems a bit high for the AI. The AI's been drafting a whole bunch of these power hitters very, very quickly, so that's interesting. All right, She's the Man goes to the adorable Apollos. That leaves it up to the Angry Admirals here to keep going. The Angry Admirals are going to be picking up Matthew Bellows, also known as Minerva. This corner outfielder could also play center field in a pinch if needed. Has good home run power. Again, really good home run power. Still left on the board at this point. Eye discipline's up there as well. Has the whole entire, the bird profile, right? Isn't that the bird profile at this point? But definitely going to be a good right field option here for the Angry Admirals. So not a bad pick. I don't think this is exactly that terrible, especially if they still have that right field position that needs to be good enough to go. And that's good enough defense that I feel like that's a pretty good pickup right there. So not too bad. The Squirrels are up next, and they are still needing a center fielder and supposedly a second baseman. So it's going to be probably going to be either one of those. And their selection is actually not either of those. It's Roland Fizzlebeef. Although technically, I could see Fizzlebeef. Well, actually, no, he's actually really good for playing third base. Ooh. We'll see what happens here with Roll, as he is probably actually one of the better third base defenders that was left on the board at this point with that 59 overall third base ability. So, interesting pickup here for the Squirrels. We'll see how that works out with their lineup and everything. And the gap power with the contact and the avoid Ks, not bad. I have to agree with Mushroom here. This is actually a pretty solid pickup. I'm actually very impressed with that. So the Squirrels don't go with the center fielder or the second baseman, but they will pick up Roland Fizzlebeef. So we'll see if that means, I don't know if that means they're expecting, actually they don't even have a second baseman at all. Okay, so they do need the third base person at this point. They already have the outfielders in Holly, who could probably also pitch. This will be interesting. The Squirrels have been drafting so weird for the entire draft so far. I don't know what their team is looking like yet. They have 6 pitchers. They have 6 pitchers, guys. What are they doing? I don't know. So we'll see. The Squirrels, they might be getting some kind of a balance swap down the road, but we'll see how this goes. All right. The Rebellious Reapers and their 6 pitchers as well will be drafting Rocco Labastra, also known as Rock Lobster. The pretty decent outfield defender with decent speed, actually above average speed, very good speed on the base running and stealing ability. Gonna be able to get on base with his eye discipline, avoid Ks, decent enough contact, and a little bit of gap power in there as well. Not too bad of an outfielder here for the Rebellious Reapers. We'll see if they put him in right field, in center, or in left. And we'll see how that goes. But it wasn't a rock. Oh, dear me. Dill Pickle goes to the Clobbering Cacti. The corner outfielder here with the eye discipline for 75. Wow, very good. Another speed demon here. Half sour, as he is referred to as. 12th round pickup to the Clobbering Cacti. Don't think he's going to be playing in center field by the time all is said and done. We'll see if that range puts him over in right. The arm's not the best out there, unfortunately. But we'll see. I don't know how many more good outfielders there actually are left in this league. So it could be... okay, Star Moonbeam is not exactly a good pick because of this batting profile. So I wouldn't make Star Moonbeam a high-quality candidate, but Ralphie Beans... that should be a good pick. Whoever gets Ralphie at this point is going to be very, very happy with that. And Jameson, not too bad. I mean, you'll take the good defense for a lesser hitting player at this point. There really isn't anybody who's going to be bringing a very solid hitting profile with very solid defense. So you're going to be trading out some hitting for some fielding at this point, and that's just how it's going to be. So we'll see about that. Menard? Does Menard have pretty good defense? I don't remember... there he is. Okay, Menard's pretty good, actually. Wow, I'm surprised he hasn't been drafted yet. Because you could play him in center, you could play him in right, you can play him in left. Decent to above average speed. That's pretty good speed, actually. That's good speed. And then, yeah, an above average hitter profile. I'm surprised he hasn't been drafted yet. The Canadian. Oh. The Kind Koalas are up next to the 12th round selection. They'll be picking up Blake Slippery, right. A third base, first base prospect with a very good arm over there at third base. That should actually be a very solid third base ability at this point. No, I'm not saying because the person was Canadian that they're not going to get drafted very early. It was just a joke. They'll get drafted soon enough. Don't worry about that. We have a trend. Canadians have been getting screwed. They just are not understood, Mushroom. We just don't understand them. Anywho, Blake Wright joins the Kind Koalas here in the 12th round. It was the right pick, I think, personally, too. 81 gap power, good enough contact, avoid Ks. Thigh discipline's not needed if you're going to be going for more of the gap power, putting the ball in play. You really want to have a bunch of doubles, not a whole bunch of walks. But the speed is decent enough, and the fielding profile fits for a corner infield position. So a good pick there for the Kind Koalas. The Pleasant. Oh, I love Larry Walker. I absolutely adore Larry Walker. So, I have mad respects to Canadian baseball players. They put up with a lot. The Pleasant Pioneers, with their 12th round selection, would be picking up Ron Effin Swanson. A decent corner outfield pickup here. Could be playing right field. Probably should be played in left. But that hitting ability is desirable all the way through. Pleasant Pioneers pick up a very good hitter here with Ron Swanson in the 12th round. The left-handed hitting, left-handed throwing corner outfielder. Going to be a very interesting positional player to see where they slot Mr. Swanson for the course of the regular season. The Whistlers are up next, and with their 12th round selection, they'll be picking up Tim Tebow, one of the last very, very min-maxing hitting profile players. This is pretty much an all-or-nothing type player at this point. Tebow is going to be very, very... My wife just texted me, someone made a character from Parks and Rec. Yes, they did, babe. But anywho, Tim Tebow goes to the Witty Whistlers. Not bad. You're probably going to have to play him in right because of the arm. You're going to want to keep that left field position open for somebody else, and that avoid K contact is going to be really, really rough. This is a very, very split player in terms of just what he brings to the table of his good speed, decent base running, no stealing, sack bunting's pretty high, amazing eye discipline, home run power, and gap power. So if he connects, the ball's going to go really far. The problem is, I don't know how often he's going to connect. So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. The Astounding Armadillos, with their 12th round selection, will pick up Jake Rudy Randolph. Another corner outfielder. Oh, finally, somebody who actually can play right field almost decently at this point. And a pretty decent hitting profile. I actually very much like this pick right here. The Armadillos pick up a pretty decent pickup right here with this contact home run power avoid K profile player and a very decent ability to be able to steal some bases, good speed, going to be able to, get on base and play left or right field. Not bad at all. I actually like this pickup right here. The switch hitting right-handed throwing outfielder goes to the Astounding Armadillos here in the 12th round. Next up on our list is going to be the Dominating Ducks, and they'll be picking up Chester Sofafield. A second base prospect, probably only going to be playing second base at this point. Good contact, gap power, avoid Ks. Don't really need the eye discipline if you're putting the ball in play. And decent enough stealing, base running, and speed to be able to do some stuff on the base paths. Not too bad for a switch hitting second baseman right about here. And we'll see how a lot of these players develop over time as well, as they will be upgradable. So the defense can be upgraded, and suddenly this player looks so much better as, maybe a third baseman or even a really good second baseman at this point. The Ducks pick up Chester Sofafield, and the Gnarly Goats, with their 12th round selection, will go with Titus Polo. This is a selection for another corner outfield pickup here for the Gnarly Goats, the extreme gap power contact hitter. Not exactly going to be having very many weaknesses, which is kind of a bit of a downgrade, I think, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people here would prefer to see major weaknesses in players, but major strong suits. That seems to be the tendency from our analysis. They seem to be wanting to go for more of a min-max player than an average player. But Titus goes in the 12th round here at this point to the Gnarly Goats. Potentially playing in the corner outfield positions for them, might be a backup. We'll see. There are going to be backup hitting positions, guys, to be able to give people breaks. That is something that we will be having. All right, the Courageous Captains are up next. They are still in need of a center fielder and technically a first baseman. Okay, interesting. They'll be picking up Mike Loggins Jr. That's their center field pick. There we go. The Courageous Captains have picked up their center fielder and Mike Loggins Jr. Pretty decent hitting profile. It's the backwards bird at this point. The inverse airplane? I don't know. I don't remember. Well, it's the less than sign. That's what it's supposed to be, technically. Right? Less than? Yeah, less than, right? Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But anywho, pretty decent center field ability right here. Could also play the corner outfield positions if needed to. If they have a better center fielder in their system, I don't know if it is. But pretty decent stealing and speed as well. So not a bad pickup right here. It is less than. Okay, good. That's what I thought it was. All right, the Ninjas. I keep calling them the Nobles because it looks like Noble, but it's Nimble. Nimble Ninjas are up next. And with their penultimate pick here in the 12th round, they will pick up Linus the Rookie Riverboat. Another potential corner outfield pickup. Might be a right fielder here for the Ninjas at this point. Wouldn't be too bad at all. The contact avoid K's hitting profile, so another major less than sign at this point. Definitely a good pickup here for the Ninjas. I actually very much I approve of this pickup a whole bunch right here. But the switch hitting left-handed throwing outfielder, potentially corner outfielder, goes to the Nimble Ninjas. And we'll finish up round 12 with the Jolly Jazz. They are still in need of their left and right fielder and their shortstop, which you got a couple of shortstops to pick from. Let's see if they want to go for that now or if they're going to wait another round and get it later. They will wait another round and get it later as they pick up Jonathan Jameson. Oh, man. The Jolly Jazz are potentially upsetting another squad who still needs a center fielder as they pick up Jolly Jazz pick up Jonathan Jameson, a.k.a. Gravy. And this pick is pretty gravy right about here. The Jazz pick up an excellent quality outfielder here. Not so much on the hitting side, but definitely on the fielding side as they get a pretty good runner as well out of the deal. So we'll see what happens with the Jolly Jazz in their next pick. They could double up here and go for shortstop because they already have Byron Buxton for center field. So they don't even really they didn't need Jameson, but they'll slot him into left field at this point, supposedly. Now, I don't think Jocinda Smith is going to right field. I don't think that's happening. I'm going to assume that there's definitely going to be some changes to this lineup a little bit. We'll see what happens down the road. I don't know. Maybe Jameson becomes a trade bait prospect at this point. You could see them probably upgrade because of his amazing outfield ability. That's probably worth a 10th round swap just because of that defense right about there. So we'll see. But anywho, for their 13th round selection, the Jolly Jazz will also be picking up Miklar Shipman, another outfielder. This should be their right fielder. This is who their right fielder should be. Mick Shipman goes to the Jolly Jazz here. Very good quality corner outfielder with very good home run power and decent speed. This is an interesting selection. I actually really like this pickup for the Jazz. This makes their outfield look pretty good. You put Shipman in right, you put Jameson over in left, and you let Buxton go to center. And we'll see, I have to learn what a less than profile does. Oh, if you want to learn what stuff does, we'll be having some reviews of stuff, basically, down the road. We'll be doing some tutorials about that, actually, pretty soon. So, anywho, yeah. So Mick goes to the Jolly Jazz. Interesting. The Ninjas are up next, and with their 13th round selection, they will be picking Joe Ham Sandwich Sampson, a very good defending center fielder. Very, very good quality center fielder right here. Good pickup for the Nimble Ninjas. This should help their squad out a whole bunch with their outfield problems that they were looking at for a while now. We'll see what they're projected to do. Sampson goes into right. Okay, I can see that. 79 ability in right's not bad. They do already have, of course, Truck Ride in center, and then Rebecca over in left. So that's pretty good. They've got a pretty good setup at this point. That even means that Linus Riverboat's not projected to be in left. That's interesting. We'll have to see what that looks like down the road. Huh. The Ninjas pick up their 4th outfielder, and they already have Pablo Sanchez, but I think they're expecting to have him play shortstop. So this will be interesting to see how the balancing goes down when we get to the end of this draft, because someone like Sampson might actually get thrown to another squad for a better pickup. The Courageous Captains are up next, and they are still needing a first baseman, but they've got everything else covered, it looks like, and they'll be picking up RJ the Admiral Menard, one of the last decent defensive outfielders at this point. His range is pretty good. Contact, gap power, eye discipline, and avoid Ks. Very, very good. The Captains get a good selection right here. Nice pickup here for the Captains. I like most of this profile. I mean, you may not stick him in center. You may have to stick him over in right, but the speed is above average to excellent. And then the hitting profile is very good. I like this pick. The Gnarly Goats, with their selection, they still need a third baseman at this point, supposedly. They have 2 left fielders, though. They'll be picking up Roman Aday, also known as Romulus. This should be their third base pickup right here. Very well done here for the Goats. A pretty decent hitting ability. Third base prospect at this point. You kind of wish for more than 54 on the third base ability for defense, but at this point, you'll take it. This is a pretty good pickup here for the Gnarly Goats, I think, personally. Good enough speed to be able to do some damage on the base paths, and pretty good just overall. Good hitting ability, decent enough defense. It's not going to be, the worst pick in the world to play at third base, and if you want to, if you got a better third baseman, go ahead and go put Roman over at the second base instead. Not bad for the Gnarly Goats. The Dominating Ducks still need an outfielder to pick up here, and they will not pick up an outfielder. They will pick up the best defending shortstop left on the list, and that is A. Rose. A. Rose goes to the Dominating Ducks. This is an interesting pickup. I don't know if they already had a shortstop who was good enough. Yeah, they already had Stephanie Morgan. Okay. This is going to throw the Ducks into a little bit of an interesting situation, because I don't know what they're planning on doing with Rose at this point. Morgan goes to left? I highly doubt that. I mean, I guess I could see it if they wanted to throw... we'll see. That might be another balance pick tradable option right there, but you love that shortstop ability. I mean, you could put Rose at second and put Stephanie Morgan at short and do a very interesting double-dominated infield right about there. Yeah, this was the Ducks. So they have some very interesting positional players right now. Yeah, I'm not sure. They've got the right field position locked up with Clark. Rose could play shortstop, but they've got Stephanie Morgan, so unless they want to trade Stephanie for like a second-round pick, if they wanted to balance trade away Stephanie for like a really good center fielder, I mean, I guess they could do that, but I don't know. I actually don't know what the Ducks are going to do now. We'll see about that. The Astounding Armadillos are up next, and with their selection needing a third baseman and a right fielder, they will pick up Jordan Crabber. This is their right fielder right here, ladies and gentlemen. A very good profile hitter, another of the less-than signs. And this is a pretty good little pickup here for the Armadillos. Pretty good right fielder, should be very good in either of the corner outfields, maybe even the center field position. And we'll see how this goes. I think this is another steal right about here in the 13th round. The Witty Whistlers are up next, and with their selection, they will be selecting Jamie Ductoro, another good hitting profile corner outfielder. So the Whistlers might be picking up a left field, right field option right here. Very good hitter with the avoid K's, contact, and gap power. All right. We'll see how this goes at this point. I'm not sure if they needed a left or right fielder still. They have Exley in left and Bond in center. So I guess the answer is, but they picked up Tebow. So Tebow is on the outside looking in at this point for this squad. We'll see how that turns around and plays out. And we'll see how that goes. We'll see. The Pleasant Pioneers are up next, and with their 13th round selection, they'll be picking up they'll pick up the Tick. I'm not even going to try with my throat right now, guys. I'm sorry. Eustachius Winkelberger. I'll try it anyways. AKA the Tick gets picked up here by the Pleasant Pioneers. Probably only a first base option, unless you really want to see him play second. Maybe you could see him play third, but that's going to be a weak third baseman or a weak second baseman. So we'll see how this goes, but very good. Base running, stealing, speed, demon on the base paths, and decent enough contact to be able to get him on the base paths to get started. So he'll give you good offense, but that defense, it just depends if they're playing him at first or if they're playing him someplace else. Now, they do already have Vlad. Ooh. So somebody is going to have to play third for the Pleasant Pioneers. And they already have Wander Franco. So I don't know. That might be their backup at this point, which wouldn't be too bad for a backup. I mean, you do need a backup pinch runner / pinch hitter. So, okay. Eustachius? That's how you pronounce it. Thank you. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they decide to do with the Tick, and whether or not he becomes a major part of their lineup, or if he's maybe their number one backup player. The Kind Koalas are up next, and their selection will be Jason Ducky St. Louis. A second base prospect, could probably dabble in third base a little bit, but definitely going to be majorly a second base prospect here for the Kind Koalas, as they have a very good hitting profile player right about here with the very good contact, gap power, and avoid Ks. We'll see if that speed turns into a whole bunch of numbers on the base paths as well. Not bad at this point, but also nothing really too flashy, although I do like that gap power at 73. That is not bad at all. The Clobbering Cacti are up next as we get halfway through the 13th round at this point, and with their selection, they will be picking up Regina Rocket, also known as Reggie, or Reggie? I don't remember how to pronounce that, unfortunately, but the very good defending outfielder joins the Clobbering Cacti here in the 13th round. Very good pickup, in my opinion, at this point. Very good defensive ability. Like to see the gap power. The avoid Ks is decent. The base running is okay. The contact's a bit low, but we'll see about this. The Cacti, doing a pretty good job with the defensive pickups at this point, at least. They're looking better and better each time. The Rebellious Reapers are up next. They still need a second baseman, third baseman, and I believe a bona fide right fielder, and they'll pick up Ralphie Beans, also known as Pinto. This is definitely one of, if not the best outfield defensive prospect that was available for the entire draft. Ralphie Beans finally gets drafted here in the 13th round, 251st overall to the Rebellious Reapers. A very solid outfield pickup at this point. We'll see if they actually want to play him or if he's going to be a balance pick for them. They could be an interesting balance pick if they want to be able to make amends with his quality at this point. The Super Squirrels are up next, and they still need a second baseman and a center fielder. They just missed out on Ralphie Beans, unfortunately. They could go for Damour if they wanted to, or they could go for something like a Reese Worthington if they wanted a decent enough center fielder. Maybe Hasselhoff or Star Moonbeam, but gonna be rough for the Squirrels to pick up that center field person at this point. They'll be picking up Get Off Milan instead. Grumpy, as he is referred to as. Okay, I could see it. You're at the 50 mark for center field, which is halfway, so he'll play it a little bit below averagely, which is not too bad. So that's not too bad at all. But I don't know if he plays center field. And that's going to be really, really hard to play center field with a 49 overall ability. So we'll see if they actually do play him in center. This might be a good option for them to actually make a move and trade for somebody who could play center field. We'll see about that. But anywho, get off Milan. Grumpy goes to the Super Squirrels. We'll see how that goes for them. The Angry Admirals are up next, and their 13th round selection will be Huey Lewis, I believe. The News, as he's referred to as, one of the better defending catchers at this point, 79 ability, 75 arm, very good sacrifice bunting ability. A little bit below average contact and hitting profile, unfortunately, but the very good defending catcher. The News goes to the Angry Admirals. Not a bad pickup right there for them. The Adorable Apollos have had a very interesting draft so far. They are still lacking their shortstop and their right fielder, and with their 13th round selection, they will be picking up Pablo Pierre. This could be their right fielder very easily. Very good defending outfielder, probably a corner outfielder for most of his time. A little bit better center field than the Squirrels pickup for center field, so interesting. But Pablo Pierre goes to the Adorable Apollos here in the 13th round. Not a bad pickup. The Knockout Kings in their 13th round selection will be picking up Kaz Cappy, also known as Smooth. The second base / sometimes maybe a shortstop prospect is going to be joining the Knockout Kings here in the 13th round. Not too bad of a profile for the hitting. I like the avoid Ks and the eye discipline, and even the contact's pretty good. Good enough speed to be able to make some noise in the base paths, and we'll just see what the Knockout Kings want to do with the defense abilities that Kaz Cappy brings to the field at this point. Kaz Cappy joins the Knockout Kings. The Graceful Giants are going to be up next. And with their 13th round selection, they'll be picking up Chad Farticus, also known as Smelly. The 90 overall catcher ability player has a pretty good little profile right here. Good contact, eye discipline, avoid Ks, decent enough speed across the board, as well as some very, very good defense at catcher. Even though that arm's not going to catch many people, the defense is going to be a pretty good pickup right about here as well. So Chad, Smelly, the switch-hitting left-handed throwing catcher, gets to join the Graceful Giants. The Crazy Cluckers are up next, and with their 13th round selection, they'll be picking up Super Stelitz Styles. The second base, third base, sometimes even shortstop prospect here, joining the Crazy Cluckers with a pretty good little Valley, I believe. The Valley profile for hitting, or less than. The less than profile at this point. Some decent enough speed and some pretty decent defense. We'll see if the Cluckers can make use of this person right here. So, Styles joining the Cluckers here in the 13th round. Not bad. The Nobles are up next as we get close to the end of the 13th round and head into the penultimate round at this point. We're making good progress so far. I just got to keep pace. And the nice Nobles, with their 13th round selection, will be picking up Bad Boy Bubby. A second base, could probably back up third and shortstop if you needed him to, but the second base prospect by far is a decent hitter, good avoid Ks, good gap power, and a pretty decent contact ability. Going to be joining the nice Nobles at this point, a pretty decent hitter at this point. Not so much on the speed, got a little bit of sacrifice bunt. Not a bad pickup. You like to see the contact and the avoid Ks, though. This late in the draft, that's pretty good to see. So the Nobles pick up a pretty decent little infielder right here in Bad Boy Bubby. The Friendly Frogs are up next, and they will be selecting Jake Wilson, also known as Seal. Another of these infield prospects, not too bad. Could probably also back up shortstop and third base if needed. Decent enough contact ability. Pretty decent around the plate, and pretty good on the field, and the defensive and speed running ability at this point. So, pretty good pickup here for the Frogs as well. I'm actually very happy with this one as well. This is a good, I mean, if the worst comes to shove, you've got an excellent backup to all of the infield positions, some good pinch running ability, and some good pinch hitting ability. So, if you're not starting, then you're pretty gosh darn good. The Curious Coyotes will round out round 13 here at this point, and their 13th round selection will be Duncan Dune, Idaho. A corner outfield, I'm going to assume corner outfield positional player at this point. Very decent speed, though, at this point. Duncan will be joining the Curious Coyotes here in the 13th round. Some decent enough hitting profile. Kind of shakes the Valley profile a little bit at this point, but not too bad. And I definitely like that speed. That speed's very, very good. And the defensive ability in the outfield is desirable. I would take that any day at this point, especially for this late in the draft. With their 14th round selection, the Curious Coyotes and their 3 center fielders drafted so far will be selecting. In fact, let me go ahead and optimize their lineups really fast, just in case this changes anything. So they've got Idaho in right, Benson over in left, Mayhew in center. They're expecting to put Kwan at second, Mel at first, Woodruff at third, and Dogberry at short. I don't see Dogberry staying at short, but we'll see about that. Anywho, with their 14th round selection, the Curious Coyotes will be selecting Joe Unknown. Another catching profile player right about here. Very good, decent ability to play behind the dish. Going to have pretty good contact and avoid Ks. Not too bad at all. A little bit below average on the speed, but that contact avoid Ks is going to be his big calling card with a little bit of his defense to back it up at this point. And not a bad addition here for the Curious Coyotes. I believe they already have a catcher, but there are going to be backup catchers around the league at this point. I do believe we have too many catchers. So unless they can move their catcher out of their position, which I believe is Chris Jardine, which is not happening, we'll see if we will see if their new addition here with Joe Unknown is a balance trade-able player, or if that's just something that they're going to have as their backup. There are still quite a few good catchers out there, including Moreno and Blackwood, Base Fun Balls. You got Table, McLovin, and Hartman still here. So some teams are definitely going to end up with a couple of catchers. If they can't move them, we'll see what they can do. But we'll see what the balance phase looks like as well. The Frogs and their 14th round pickup are going to be selecting Moreno. There we go. Moneyball. Art Moreno finally gets drafted by the Friendly Frogs here in the 14th round. The very good catching ability catcher will be joining the Frogs here in the 262nd overall selection. Very good speed for a catcher at this point. Decent enough contact and eye discipline. Everything else seems pretty average at this point. Not going to really have too many weaknesses, but I'm not entirely sure if this is going to be a starting catcher or a backup at this point, but either way, that catcher ability definitely going to be valuable for the Friendly Frogs, regardless of what they do with Art Moreno. So good pickup here for the Frogs. Glad to see Art Moreno get drafted here. The Nice Nobles are up next, and with their 14th round selection, they will be picking up Fernando El Jefe Mina, a corner outfielder, definitely not going to be playing center at this point, but probably a right fielder or a backup outfielder here for the Nice Nobles. Pretty decent hitting profile, even though he really can't field that much, unfortunately. Definitely going to be able to put down the bunt, try to get some snack bunts and bunting for hit at this point. The Nobles don't want a catcher. Okay, I was like, for a second I thought you said they didn't have a catcher. I was like, wait, they don't have a catcher yet? But the pretty decent little contact, gap power, eye discipline, avoid K's profile player here. Not too bad for the Nice Nobles. And the left-handed hitting, right-handed throwing outfielder goes to them here in the 14th round. The Crazy Cluckers are up next. And with their 14th round selection, they're picking up Frank Ferguson. Also known as Turd, this is a very decent infield prospect right here. Pretty good defense around the... You don't think the Nobles actually have a catcher? We might have to check that then. Pretty good little infielder here for Frank Ferguson. Yeah, I'm noticing that too, Sergeant Mushroom. Who said that? No, Valeric said that. I am heavily debating about adding the DH in as a last-second resort because we did actually add an extra batter to every single team and remove one relief pitcher. So I might add the DH just because that would be the best balance that I could actually do to the league. So we'll see about that. I'll let you guys know. Maybe we'll do a vote on that in the Discord. Maybe we'll vote on that. See if you guys want that. Either way, Frank Ferguson, Turd, joins the Crazy Cluckers here in the 14th round of the Backyard Project inaugural draft. Yeah, none of those submitted pitchers can hit, so it probably will be the best option to add the draft or the DH back in because of how many of the pitchers just cannot hit. That also is going to make it very interesting for people like Jay Green and Leah Wayne, who are not going to hit half of the time at that point. That that's going to make teams who have those kinds of players have to debate very heavily about whether or not they want to have their two-way player as a starter or a positional player. So we'll see how that goes. The Graceful Giants are up next, and their 14th round selection is going to be Biff Soggy Bottom Cousteau. A pretty decent corner outfielder with some pretty above average speed. Very good hitting profile, though. That eye discipline, avoid Ks, gap power, and contact. Very, very nice little corner outfielder here for the Graceful Giants as they make another good selection. Another switch hitting, left-handed throwing corner outfielder. Interesting. The Knockout Kings in their 14th round selection will be going for James Hummus James. Also going to the Knockout Kings, another corner outfielder here at this point. And probably a pretty good base runner right here, actually. So a pretty decent little overall potential number 2 hitter, I would say. Leadoff hitter, number 2 hitter, maybe. If you wanted to put him out in left or in right field, you can absolutely do that. Or if we do have the DH, maybe he goes into a DH position at this point. I don't know. DH would also be really good for people like Vlad Guerrero Jr., who really don't play positions very well. So we will see. The Adorable Apollos are up next, and their 14th round selection will be Vidal Valor, who finally gets drafted here in the 14th round. Look at that speed, guys. Oh, man. The left-handed hitting, right-handed throwing. Second baseman, potentially having to go to first base. We'll see about that. But a very interesting pickup here for the Adorable Apollos, who get what would probably be the best potential pinch hitter / pinch runner that you could possibly get at this stage in the game. So a solid player overall if you're looking for really good speed to beat out infield singles, good enough stealing to get you bags, and good enough base running to know how to turn singles into doubles, and be able to use your and to be able to get to first to third on many plays that are out into the outfield for singles. So not a bad pickup here for Valor, and that infield defense is actually just 1 or 2 upgrades away from being a very solid third baseman, shortstop, any other position you want. So look out for Valor. Valor might actually be a very good pickup for this Adorable Apollos team. The Angry Admirals are up next. And with the Angry Admirals submission, they will be picking up Rocco McLovin, a catching prospect. 71-71 on the catcher ability and arm. Some decent speed to go along with it. And Rico Venezuela was drafted. Yes, he was one of the people drafted in the 11th round for relief pitching. Very good little solid pickup right here as well. Pretty decent speed. The defense ability you're going to enjoy. Gap power is pretty good. Contact's a bit low, but you put a lot into the catcher ability and the arm, I can tell, with a little bit of speed in there as well. So not a bad pickup here for the Angry Admirals. The Squirrels could really use some backup players. They do not have a second baseman right now, and they don't have a backup catcher. So let's see who they pick up. They'll pick up their second baseman, which will be Duke Jazzy D. Silver. I'm actually kind of surprised the Jazz didn't pick up Duke Silver, but the second base, third base prospect will be slotted into the Super Squirrels at this point. Not a bad profile right here, to be honest. That's a pretty good pickup. Good enough ability to play second, could also play third if the Squirrels wanted to put a third baseman over at second, I guess. Let me see what they end up wanting to do. They've got Fizzle Beef, who really can only play third. So we'll see if they want to do a balance pick with Silver or if they want to leave him at second base and keep that 60 defense over there. But otherwise, the Super Squirrels, outside of their center field lack, which that's hard to get away with, unfortunately. But otherwise, not too bad. Not too shabby at this point. I do like this pickup for second base. I do feel like they could get a better second baseman if they wanted to trade him. Or trade Fizzle Beef, if you could do that as well. That wouldn't be a problem. We'll see what happens with all that at this point. The Reapers, with their 14th round selection, will pick up Fitzwilliam Richest Man Darcy. Mr. Darcy joins the Rebellious Reapers. The switch hitting second base prospect is going to be joining their squad. Pretty decent hitting ability. I do like that profile. The speed's pretty decent, above average on all across the boards there. And the infield ability is 50, 50, 50, 50. I don't know if anybody else submitted a character with the 50, 50, 50, 50 defense profile for infield. So Darcy can go anywhere they want with their character, and any upgrades to his defense is going to make him move in many different directions for many different positions. So we'll see what the submitter for Fitzwilliam Darcy wants to do down the road. But for now, they have joined the Rebellious Reapers as probably a backup infielder at this point. The Clobbering Cacti are up next, and with their selection, they'll be picking up Finnegan Finn Beginigan. Michael Finnegan, I believe, is his official pronunciation name, but we're going to have him just be Finnegan Beginigan at this point. The left-handed batting, right-handed throwing, second base prospect, can also dabble in third base a little bit, but probably will be our backup infielder at this point. Decent contact gap power, decent avoid Ks, not so much on the eye discipline, unfortunately, and the speed, above average, and the sacrifice bunt's actually not that bad. So, not too bad of a submission here. Almost had the quad 50 submission for the defense, but Finnegan Beginigan joins the Clobbering Cacti. The Kind Koalas in their 14th round selection will be picking up Betty Bottles Otterman, a corner outfielder with some decent and if not surprising batting profile at this point. Gap power, eye discipline, very high on the list. Speed very much up there at this point, but the defense is going to keep her either in left or right, unfortunately, and we'll see how this plays out down the road for this pick here. But the Koalas getting a backup outfielder here with some interesting batting profile. I wonder if you have Betty bat and then pinch run for her. That would be interesting. She gets on base with the walk, and then you get a runner on to replace her, and you get someone to second. So instantaneous runner in scoring position, hopefully. The Pleasant Pioneers are going to be selecting Base Von Balls. Base Von Balls finally joins the squad here as the Pleasant Pioneers pick him up in the 14th round. That 78 catcher ability, very, very nice. With a 79 ability, 62 catcher arm. Not so much on the speed, but definitely enjoying the Valley approach batting to go along with the catcher ability. This should be a very good pickup here for the Pleasant Pioneers. And yes, congratulations to EVC on that pickup as well. The Witty Whistlers and their 14th round selection, they do not have a catcher. What do you mean they don't have a catcher? Whoa. What do you mean they don't have a catcher yet? Who do they have? They have no catchers yet. All right, well, Whistlers, are you going to select a catcher now? No. They are rejecting your reality and substituting it with their own as they pick up Winston Newhouse, also known as Winnie, a second base prospect at this point with the Valley profile batting approach. I'm not sure if the Witty Whistlers are expecting their 15th round to be their catcher pickup or not. This isn't a bad pickup. I actually do like Winston here. The batting profile's good. The speed's pretty decent. The defense could be a little bit better, and that would make him so much more impactful. But the Whistlers, I don't know. I guess they're expecting to do a balanced trade to get their catcher at the end of the draft at this point. The Armadillos still need their third baseman and potentially their right fielder. We'll see if that's an option for them or not. But with their 14th round selection, the Armadillos will be picking up Alexis Casey. That is their right fielder. There we go. All right. Alexis Casey, also known as Almighty Casey, will be joining the astounding Armadillos here in the 14th round. Not a bad pickup here for your right fielder at 60 defense. Not a whole lot of speed out there, but that home run ability. You put this person fourth in the batting order or fifth, and you just hope and pray they hit a homer of some people on base every now and then. That's basically all you're hoping for. The Armadillos pick up Alexis Casey. I think they have... Yes, technically Casey is one of my siblings' submissions, and I'm also on this squad as the relief pitcher. So the Armadillos are picking all of the Murray brothers at this point. So that's interesting. Very interesting at this point. Either way, the Dominating Ducks are up next, and their 14th selection, they'll be picking up Stan Scooter Royal, a second base, potentially also playing third base and shortstop infielder prospect here. Scooter doesn't have the best bat in the world, but his eye discipline and avoid Ks is very, very good. And the speed is also top-notch as well. Solid pickup here for the Dominating Ducks. I have to agree. I think this is pretty good. I think this is definitely someone that can make a team very happy if they are missing any of the infield positions. So the Ducks might have trade bait here with Stan Royal, which would give Stan a starting position if the Ducks don't have a starting position for him. They already have Rose and Morgan and Boom Boom and Rafael Devers, so their infield's pretty well set. Unless they wanted to put Devers off of third base, and but 50 is not that good. We'll see. We'll see what the Ducks decide to do. They could put Morgan over at third base, have Rose at short, Morgan over at third, and then stick this new pickup over at maybe second base. If you wanted to stick Chesterfield, who would be missing at that point? Oh, left field would be missing at that point. So I don't know if he'll be that. I don't know if that'll work, unfortunately. But regardless, the range here for Stan Royal pretty good. So the Ducks get a pretty good pickup right about there. The Gnarly Goats are up next, and their 14th round selection will be Buck Cheeks. B-U-C-K. B-U-C-K. The corner outfielder goes to the Gnarly Goats. Peachy, as he is known. Left-handed hitting, left-handed batting. Corner outfielder with a pretty decent little eye-discipline, avoid K, and contact ability. Will be joining the Goats. So a pretty good little pickup here for the Goats as well. Definitely approving of this one as well. The Courageous Captains are up next as we get close to the end of the 14th round. And I need to make sure that I'm not going to be running. I've got an hour till TJ, right? Yeah, I've got another hour till TJ starts his LG Twins. So we're doing very good on time. All right, awesome. We have plenty of time to be able to finish up this whole entire draft. Awesome. All right, so with the 14th round, the Courageous Captains will be selecting Thomas Andy Messersmith Sangstas. The second base prospect, probably another infield backup at this point. Very good speed, though, here out of Thomas. So this will be an interesting submission for the Courageous Captains, as they can use him as a pinch hitter / pinch runner at this point. And a very interesting pickup. It's really just going to depend on whether or not the captains and all these teams have positions already filled, or if these are people who are going to be either backing up or taking over a new position. So we'll see what they can do about that. The Nimble Ninjas are up next of our penultimate 14th round selection, and with it they will be selecting Benito Benny Samuels. Not a bad pickup here for the Nimble Ninjas. A pretty good defending outfielder at this point. Good enough speed to be able to run the base paths. The hitting profile is a little lackluster. The home run power was what he went for. But not too bad of a pickup here for the Ninjas. If they needed an extra outfielder, this is definitely a pickup for them. And it might also be a balance pick as well if they want to be able to make some moves and do some stuff down the road. So we'll see how this goes. The Jolly Jazz are up next with their 14th round selection. This is the last one in the 14th round. We'll see how this guy goes. Yeah, the draft was slated as 20 rounds, but we'll see how that goes. I was never able to change that amount without having the Serpentine draft get disabled. So another bug that I have to get fixed for the future as well. But either way, the Jolly Jazz of the last draft in the last pick in the 14th round here, ladies and gentlemen, will be selecting Hoot Woodsy McInerney. Is it McInerney? McInerney. I don't know how to pronounce his name, unfortunately, but the corner outfielder goes to the Jolly Jazz. Woodsy, as he is referred to as, switch hitting, right-handed throwing outfielder at this point. Not too bad of a pickup here for the Jolly Jazz. I actually really like this. Oh, good grief. But anywho, Hoot McInerney. I can never say this correctly, unfortunately. And it's bad that my throat is already in such a poor state as it is. But anywho, Woodsy goes to the Jolly Jazz here in the 14th round. Let's finish up the draft, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if the Jolly Jazz can finally get their shortstop. I think Demur has to be the pick here at this point. And if it's not, they're going to be having to make a balance pick to be able to make it work. But the Jolly Jazz have pretty much everything covered, but supposedly right field and shortstop. So we'll see what they get here for their final selection in the inaugural draft. They will be picking up. It's Henry Demur. Perfect. All right, so they do get their shortstop here in the last round. Henry Demur, probably a massive steal at this point for the Jolly Jazz. The 85 defending shortstop goes to the Jolly Jazz here in the final stages of the draft. They get, supposedly, Probably the best person they possibly could have gotten at this point. That solidifies their organization. They're pretty balanced at this point. I'm pretty happy with the Jazz. I feel like they've done a pretty good job with their draft at this point. We'll see if it holds true for all the other clubs. But AI, not as bad as we thought it was. For at least for the Jazz. The Nimble Ninjas are in need of a second baseman. They have 5 outfielders right now. They're definitely going to be looking at a balance pick at this point, I believe. But with their last selection here in the 15th round, they will be picking up their second baseman, Red Argyle. Congratulations to the creator of Red Argyle. Your player has been selected here in the 15th round to the Nimble Ninjas, solidifying their team at this point. Good base running, decent hitting, and we'll see how the defense does. 46, not the greatest in the world, but should at least be able to fill in as a starting position for the Nimble Ninjas, and I do like that stealing ability. That's actually not that bad. All right, moving on to the captains. They are in need of a first baseman, it looks like, although they probably could have someone fill it in. It shouldn't be that hard of a thing to find a first baseman, I would imagine. So far, they've got Thomas filling in at first base right now. We'll see if that holds true after this draft pick right here. The courageous captains with their final selection will go for Harold Purple Crayon Hartman? I think it was supposed to be Purple Crayon, but wow, okay, this came out of nowhere, but a really good catching prospect here for the courageous captains. I wonder if they expect to make this one of their balance picks. If they need to trade away a catcher, this would be a very interesting person to be able to have as a high bar. The captains make a really good pick here with a 96 ability, 58 arm catcher. I'm actually very impressed at this point. Yeah, that's a pretty good pickup right there. I'm very surprised you didn't go earlier, but the captains pick up another catcher to join their ranks at this point. The Goats technically have a need of a third baseman and a first baseman. They have diversity and abilities to move players around, so right now, Singh is supposed to be their first baseman. I'm going to assume that's not going to be the case by the end of today. Roman Aday might be playing first base by the end of today. I don't know. We'll see what the Goats want to pick up with their last selection here in the 15th round. And with it, they'll be picking up Nick Nack Paddywhack. All right. I actually like this pick too. This is another pretty decent little pickup right here. The batting profile is pretty good. The speed's above average. Bunting for hits pretty good. And that defense is actually quite solid. Another very good, solid addition here for the Goats. Giving them the ability to have flexibility with their infield and everything. So Nick Nack Paddywhack gets to join the Goats and solidifies their squad for the remainder of the regular season. The Ducks are up next, and they only have 2 outfielders. So let's see if they draft an outfielder here. It could be Star Moonbeam. It could be Breathless Mahoney. There's a couple of outfielders left they could probably go for at this point. If they wanted good, solid defense outfield, I'd go with Moonbeam or Worthington, but let's see what they pick up. They will go with Joe Willie. Joker, as he's referred to as. Pretty solid little corner outfielder. Not bad. Good pickup right about here. Decent enough hitting profile. Won't be having too many weaknesses over the course of the regular season. The speed's a little bit low, but the bunting's not too bad, so if you need to sacrifice bunts down, he can do that. And then the left and right field coverage is decent enough. That's not bad. That's not bad. For your last pick, that's solid. I'll take that. The Ducks finish out their draft with a pretty solid little outfield pick. The Astounding Armadillos need a third baseman. Bad. They need a third baseman really bad. At this point, RB Meats might be their best option for third base. Wow, that is a complete bird profile. Let's see if they end up getting Meats at this point or if they go someplace else. The Armadillos with their last selection will be picking up Breathless Mahoney. All right, they ditched the infield and went to the outfield instead. Breathless Mahoney, also known as Tank, goes to the Astounding Armadillos. The corner outfielder will be able to do a pretty good job at the plate, a decent enough job on the defense, and a decent enough job in the in the running game. So not too bad here for the Astounding Armadillos. A pretty good pickup, even if, you know, even if this is a balance potential player, that's still a very good pickup for the Armadillos. The Whistlers still need a right fielder, supposedly. They also still need a catcher. So I don't know if they're expecting to pick up one of these catchers at this point or what they're doing. So let's see if the Whistlers AI finally kicks in and grabs them their catcher that they need at this point. Oh, that's right. They also need a shortstop, too. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, the Whistlers draft has been a little interesting, to say the least. Johnson's their best shortstop right now at 55. So unless they go out and they get Moonbeam or Worthington, I don't think they're going to be able to solve that shortstop problem at this point. So we'll see what they decide to do. The Whistlers, with their last selection, will go with Oscar Bridgman. Okay, so they did address the shortstop issue. They didn't get the best defending shortstop, but they did get a decent hitter. Okay, that's not bad. If you put Oscar at short, you can put Johnson over at second, and you can move people around and make a pretty good team out of that. Not bad. In fact, the more I look at Obi here, he's not bad at all. Good contact, or good enough contact, decent gap power, decent enough eye discipline, very good avoid Ks, can run the bases pretty well, and that range will make him a good enough shortstop to be able to play the position manageably. Not bad. Not bad at all. So the Witty Whistlers get their shortstop here in the last round. The Pleasant Pioneers are up next, and with their last pick of the draft, they will be selecting. They need a outfielder, potentially? Let's see. They will pick up a catcher. Veggie Leafy Greens Table. Veggie Table joins the draft. The drafted players at this point with a 75 catcher ability, 66 arm. Not a bad profile. Probably a pretty decent backup catcher at this point. Might give the Pioneers some options to be able to do something with Vegetable if they want to. Otherwise, they may be able to also move some of their own players around if they want to. They have Base Von Balls already in the catcher spot, so I don't know if they'll be expecting Table to go play a different position or if Table ends up going out of the organization for somebody else. We will see what happens with the Pleasant Pioneers. The Kind Koalas are up next, and with their last selection, they are in need of a right fielder and a first baseman, although that first base position is pretty easy to fill, so I imagine they're looking for a right fielder. They might be looking at someone like Dmitry Petrovich at this point. Let's see what the Kind Koalas pick up. No, they'll pick up another catcher. They'll pick up lefty Plate Haffel, also known as Leftover. This was the... Okay, so this will be interesting. This could be a DH for them at this point. This was the worst defending catcher in the league. Not that that's a bad thing, because it was all offense for lefty. However, with the DH being potentially added down the road if we decide to do that, the Kind Koalas could put him at DH if they so chose to, which would be pretty decent enough for 55 home run power, 61 gap power. But we'll see what they decide to do here with lefty. This is a bit of a weird pick. We'll see. The Clobbering Cacti are up next, and they still need a first base, shortstop, and right fielder, although they have 5 outfielders already. So the Clobbering Cacti already have some pretty decent people picked up. They are slotted to have Keisha Phillips play shortstop with her nice ability to play shortstop. Herman's supposed to play right at 55. Center field's supposed to be Rocket at 73. And left is supposed to be McBeam at 71. So they do have the outfield covered. And they do have some pretty decent infield ability. So it might just be a first baseman or a backup catcher at this point that the Clobbering Cacti are looking for. Not bad. They've actually filled up their team pretty decently as well. So, the Cacti, with their last selection, will be picking up RB Meats, the third baseman. Alright, so this, if you wanted a do-or-die hitter and your team is already set and you just want someone who can DH, this is who you pick up. This is who you pick up at this point. RB Meats comes in as probably the Cacti's DH decision, if that is added to the league. This is a 3-outcome player. He will either strike out, he will walk, or he will hit a long ball. And it'll just be... We'll see how this goes. The Cacti do have Keisha Phillips for shortstop, who would be serviceable for a shortstop. So we'll see how RB Meats plays out. He could go play third base, but right now they do have Joe Krepp to go play third base, so I don't see that being a replacement to Krepp. So we'll see how this goes. I think RB is a DH. I think that's pretty much that's their DH pick right about there. The Rebellious Reapers, with their 15th round selection, will be picking up Beamer Hokey Bird, a infield prospect for the Reapers. Very good hitter. All right. I'm surprised this took this long for Beamer, also known as Hokey, to get picked, but the 15th round is Beamer's time. This is a pretty good pickup for a hitter right here. If you even have to put Beamer as a DH, that is still a pretty good DH option right about there. Yeah, I like that. And the sack bunt is 100, which is interesting. I wonder if there's a way that they could use that like behind somebody who is always getting on base, and then you have this guy either hit or bunt the person over. That would be interesting. The synchronization and the usage of the players would be very interesting to note. The Squirrels are up next. They've already gotten everybody filled out. And with their 15th round selection, the Squirrels will pick up Bean Sprout. Congratulations to Bean Sprout. With the really good speed, probably going to be a backup infielder / pinch runner for the Backyard Project at this point. Bean Sprout Murray joins the Super Squirrels. The little squirrely guy is going to be joining the Squirrels with his really decent stealing and speed ability. Pretty good overall at this point. And yeah, the Squirrels get another little backup player at this point. Not too bad. The Angry Admirals are up next. They still need a second baseman. I think this might be a chance for Worthington, Petrovich, or Naomi to be drafted at this point with their second base abilities. Although Naomi, I think, is probably projected to be more of a third base backup, infield backup at this point, because that's going to be much more easier for her. But the Angry Admirals, with their 15th round selection, will pick Naomi Murray. All right, so both of the Murray clan people are going to be drafted back-to-back at this point. So the Angry Admirals pick up their backup infielder at this point. Not too many weaknesses for Naomi, some pretty decent speed, and a pretty decent ability to play most of the infield positions besides shortstop. Will definitely be a backup, but over the course of a couple of upgrades, if that range goes up, guys, very, very good pick right here for the Admirals, and the missus is already texting me that she wants to join the Frogs. So a trade may happen down the road. Naomi might be joining the Frogs just because she demands it. And when the missus demands something, guys, it happens. The Adorable Apollos are up next at this point, and with their 15th round selection, I don't know if they're in need of anything at this point. They are shortstop and first base. So we'll see what the Apollos pick up here in the last rounds. I would assume Worthington or Moonbeam to play shortstop? Maybe? The Apollos will pick up Mariana Ralph. Okay. I don't think the Apollos need another catcher. I don't think the Apollos need another catcher, but I am certain there are going to be some teams who would very highly favor Mariana Ralph if they can get their hands on that catcher ability, which is 100 at this point. Also able to play second base and a little bit of the infield, Mariana Ralph joins the Adorable Apollos here in the 15th round. Okay. The Knockout Kings. They still need a first baseman. That's, again, easy to fill at this point. They only have 2 relievers, though, so they're definitely going to be needing to do a balance pick once we get out of the draft here. But their 15th round selection will be Star Moonbeam. Oh, boy. All right. I've been waiting for this selection to come out. Star Moonbeam is the second fastest player in the Backyard Project. She has 123 speed. This elite center field and also potentially infield defensive player is going to be a very interesting pick for most people. And the Kings get a good selection here with the 295th overall selection in the draft. Star Moonbeam goes to the Kings. I'm surprised she didn't go to the Apollos, because they would take her to the Stars. Okay, I'll see myself out the back door now. Thank you. All right, anywho, the Graceful Giants are up next. And with their last pick, they still need a second base, first base, shortstop position. They have 6 outfielders. Oh, dear me. So the Graceful Giants are going to need some balancing, as they have 3 catchers and 6 outfielders and 1 infielder. So the Graceful Giants definitely going to be doing some balance picks. They have been drafting so well. I love how some teams have drafted really gosh darn well, and then you have the Giants. Del Vecchio can play anywhere. I guess Marte can play second. That's pretty good for him. But they've got Garcia, Soto, who are only outfielders. So I guess Wolf is expected to play short, 58. Swordsman expected to play third, 48. Second base is Del Vecchio's. I would see him at third over anybody else. At least they're going to be able to play Chad at catcher, so that's okay. But Marte at... what? Del Vecchio's got to go play third. Swordsman's got to go play first. Marte needs to play second. That's your defense. There. That's what it should look like. Swordsman at first. He does 80. Marte at second. He's better. He'll be able to do 62. And Del Vecchio at third. Third base is his prime. There you go. 98. There. We fixed the Giants at least. All right. There we go. At least they're a little bit understandable. The Giants just are drafting weird at this point. They still have Pseudonym in the outfield with Biff Cousteau, who could probably be a DH at this point, I guess. Cousteau could be the backup outfielder. Cousteau ends up being the DH. Let's see who the Giants draft now. And we'll see how this goes. Because, good grief. Excuse me. All I can say is good grief. The Giants, with their last selection, we are down to our last 5 players, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's Hasselhoff, Blackwood, Ekman, Petrovich, and Worthington. All backyard kids are the last 5 people to be drafted. So, let's start getting the people into the chat here for who you guys think is going to be the last pick. Who do you guys believe is going to be the last person drafted? Do you guys think it's going to be Hasselhoff, Blackwood, Ekman, Petrovich, or Worthington? Let me know in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and get the Giants selection done. I imagine the Giants have to go with Petrovich or Worthington at this point. You could also look at them going for Billie Jean, because they don't technically... No, it's gotta be Worthington. They have to pick up Worthington at this point. We scoff at the Hoff. A couple of Petrovich. Alright, 1 Ekman, 2 Ekmans. Okay. Couple of Ekman choices in there. Let's see what the Giants pick up. With their last selection, the Graceful Giants have selected Kimi Ekman, the backup catcher with some okay defense for the outfield and infield ability, but no hitting whatsoever. Twinkle Toes has joined the Graceful Giants here in the 296th pick. I don't think this was a good selection. I would have taken Petrovich for his batting. I would have taken Worthington for his fielding. Billie Jean at least has a little bit of pop. I mean, I think Hasselhoff has got some decent speed. I was all on board with Ekman being the last pick. But then again, the Giants have been throwing off the normal draft situation anyways, all drafts. So you know what? It makes sense for them. The Giants have literally been picking out of position, out of almost order at this point, the entire draft. It only makes sense. The Crazy Cluckers, with their last selection, they are in need of a third baseman, supposedly, and potentially another outfielder, which would be Worthington or Petrovich. With their selection, they will be picking up Reese Worthington. All right, so there is the better defender, the shortstop defender off the board. Reese Worthington gets picked up by the Crazy Cluckers here in the 15th round. And the Cluckers will probably use him in the outfield and potentially at shortstop. I don't remember who their shortstop is. Oh, it's going to be Kawaguchi. Yeah. You gotta believe that Kawaguchi is their shortstop. Yep, 83 overall shortstop ability. Worthington over a Horner for second base. I don't know about that. He's got good defense, but I would not be throwing that batting out there at this point. We'll have to see what they decide to do about some of these players. I also don't know if I'd throw Hannah Peavy at this point. Especially when you've got Utley at this point. I'd be throwing Utley over Peavy any day. Yeah, we'll have to see what this Crazy Cluckers want to do with their lineup at this point. But our last three picks, ladies and gentlemen. Petrovich, Blackwood, and Hasselhoff. Yeah, the Cluckers are weird. They're like the Giants. I just don't know what their AI was, what their general manager was thinking with their draft. We'll have to see what it comes out to when we get everything and all the dust is settled. It might be interesting, but I'm gonna assume the Giants and the I think the Cluckers and Giants have a couple of balancing players they're gonna have to look at doing. The Nice Nobles, their last selection here in the draft. They get the third to last pick, and with it, they will be selecting Gretchen Hasselhoff, the speed demon on the base paths who can play the outfield quite decently, at least across the outfield ranges at this point. Her speed will be very good. Definitely going to be a backup outfielder at this point. But that bat's not really going to do anything for them. So the Nice Nobles get their backup outfielder / pinch runner at this point. All right, so if Petrovich goes last, I don't know what on earth the AI is doing, because this batting profile is not terrible. I mean, even Billie Jean's not terrible, although I would say that she's definitely the worst out of the two. I would definitely am expecting Petrovich to go right here, although a shortstop... Do the Friendly Frogs really need a shortstop? Please tell me they do not need a shortstop. Okay, Hugo is definitely going to be their shortstop. Okay, good. They at least have a shortstop in Hugo. All right, so they don't necessarily need a shortstop. That's good. They don't have another outfielder. Okay, yeah. They kind of need a right fielder if they don't want to throw Pappas into center. So I'm going to assume that it has to be Petrovich. I think you have to pick Petrovich at this point. Put him in the right field position. His 65 defense would play just fine out there. Let us see what the Friendly Frogs decide to do, if they actually go with our logic or if they go with the AI's logic here. With their final selection, the Friendly Frogs are going to pick Dmitry Paste Petrovich. All right, good. They at least made the right decision at the end. The Frogs did one thing right. All right, there we go. The Frogs have selected Petrovich to play right field. Good. They at least don't have to make a balance pick for their last outfield position. They will have a whole bunch of catchers and infielders available for other people to be able to select from at this stage. Which means the Curious Coyotes will be landing Billie Jean Blackwood as their last player. They still have a very interesting organization as well. This is going to give them 4 catchers, although at this point, Maya Woodruff is not catching. At this point, Maya Woodruff is not their catcher. We're going to have to see what they decide to do. But anywho, the Curious Coyotes will select Billie Jean Blackwood as their final selection, the last player on the board. She will join the Coyotes. Crazy legs, 6'8". right-handed throwing, right-handed batting, infielder slash outfielder, maybe a catcher. We'll see how this goes. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your inaugural draft for the Backyard Project. The rosters